Hey everyone, it is Therapy 365, and this is episode 7. And today I'm going to talk about, is it time for you to go to therapy? And this discussion is actually based on an article I did for my site, Love and Life Toolbox. It was called 10 Reasons You Need Therapy Now. So I indicated, again, 10 reasons why a person might benefit from seeking therapy. And a lot of these are things that I think a lot of people don't think of, and some are maybe more common sense. So I thought it was good information, and I wanted to share that in this podcast. So I'm going to take a look at some of this list and share some of these with you. And if you want, you can go on my site and see the rest of the article. I'm not going to give you all of them, but I'm going to give you the most important that stand out for me. All right. Number 1, your self-esteem is in the toilet. So, I think if you're feeling poorly about yourself and you are seeing that come up in a lot of ways, your relationships, in fears of performance or perfectionism or the like, or just kind of comparing yourself to other people. I have a number of clients and people that I know that get into this social media comparison thing and literally have to sometimes just check out of their accounts to stop getting triggered and activated that their life isn't as beautiful and fabulous as so-and-so's life. But therapy can really help people with self-esteem issues in that it'll help you really get to the core of what your belief systems are about who you are as a person. And there's a lot of reasons why people develop their core beliefs. It comes from a long time ago in your family of origin. One of my favorite topics, family of origin work. And then people can end up developing what end up being faulty belief systems about their value and make them, quite vulnerable to feeling poorly about themselves. So that is a great reason to look at getting into therapy. I mean, you can always talk to friends. Friends can be helpful, but I think at the end of the day, talking to someone who's trained in really doing this kind of exploratory work and putting the pieces together could be really helpful to address that. So that's number 1. I think I'm totally freestyling today. I'm going to give you 6. I'm looking at my list right now. Okay. I like this one. You are emotionally unavailable. So that'll be number 2. You are emotionally unavailable. Gosh, this is a good topic as well, because emotional unavailability, again, has its roots in your history. You learned at some point it was not safe to be vulnerable. I mean, it was protective. It was dangerous to be vulnerable for some reason. And there's so many situations that can lead to that belief, right? So you learn that it's not safe to be vulnerable. So then you're not vulnerable, and then people may experience you as being cold or aloof or hard to connect to, or you hear from people or maybe relationships, some like repeat patterns come up around that. So being emotionally available is really is so rewarding, not only for you as a person, but it makes you more able to connect with others, which is really rewarding. That was number 2. Okay, I got to do this one. 3. You keep getting into bad relationships. So, people tend to repeat patterns, and they can be problematic patterns. And again, a lot of that, again, I say this over and over, is based on what you've learned and what you've seen before, or maybe back to self-esteem, what you believe you deserve or don't deserve. If you've had a lot of relationships that have been toxic or deeply painful or unsatisfying or abusive, or maybe they're emotionally unavailable, and you keep over and over and over getting in these patterns, then you may want to look at that because um, there's a reason you're leaning toward unhealthy situations, and that can be changed if you learn to look at yourself differently. Um, I have a guide that I wrote on this topic actually called Break Your Unhealthy Relationship Patterns. That's on my website, Love and Life Toolbox. It can help you really get to the core of what faulty belief systems you might be carrying that might be leading you to keep repeating, these bad relationships. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. You struggle to manage your anger, and actually, I'm going to make that you struggle to manage your emotions in general. Gosh, this is also again looking back. There are reasons why people get in these habits. Maybe have explosive anger, high levels of reactivity, feeling like they get overwhelmed by their emotions or easily triggered. If you get with a therapist, you can actually really identify what your vulnerable triggers are and learn. You can actually uncover what it is that you're afraid that is actually going to happen, right? So I mean, like for example, anger could potentially be a way to keep people away from you, right? It could be some kind of coping mechanism, but then other excessive emotions like just being that overwhelmed, that anxious kind of freaking out person is totally dysregulated. So if you look back at the history again, this is why therapy can be so helpful because again, friends can be helpful, family can be helpful, but therapists, especially those who work a lot with history, can really help you to understand who you are, where you came from, what your story means about you and how you're stuck now, and help you get unstuck. Let's do this one. 5, you are possessive and jealous. So I would pose the question, where did you learn that people you care about might leave you or that weren't going to be reliable? Or, what is that vulnerability for you in relationships that lead you maybe to behave in ways that may ultimately push your partner away, right? I've seen actually a lot of couples in my practice where that's going on, where the one partner is exasperated because they say, no matter what I do, I cannot, I can't make her or him believe that I'm here and that I love them. And they keep questioning or they keep, you know, panicking over a lot of things. And that actually ultimately becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the problem because that kind of behavior does eventually push somebody away because they're exasperated and they're sad because they feel like no matter what they do that it's not going to stop. So that's really rooted in deep insecurity, and there's probably good reasons for that it's really helpful to understand, and a therapist can help you do that. Number 6, your worry overtakes you. So again, this is sort of in the same vein of the kind of managing your emotions, but worry again, again, I asked the question, where did you learn that like the worst possible thing is going to happen or that things go wrong, right? The whole half glass empty, half glass full uh, is actually kind of a good way to look at how people see things. The half full being sort of like the person that is going through life with this idea that things generally work out, like kind of a sense of ease, like, oh, it'll all work out, and just kind of have that sense of calm. And then on the other side, you get a lot of people that are a little more sort of like unsure and waiting for the other shoe to drop or assuming the worst or future, telling the future in a way that is a bad outcome, and then worry, spin on worry, spin on worry. It can be exhausting. That's the thing. So, really understanding where that comes from and maybe correcting any faulty belief systems around that with a therapist, and also learning ways to self soothe, calm your nervous system. And these, again, are all things that therapists can help with. So there are obviously a lot more reasons why therapy could be helpful for you. I just wanted to. I felt like that article was is a good one, and there's some other ones on that, other things that might lead somebody to therapy, and there's obviously a million more. But I just wanted to kind of cull down and give you some food for thought, that therapy can really be really helpful. Again, it's especially if you find, for me, I mean, I work from such a historical perspective, and I'm going to spend time with someone understanding really who they are, looking at the past and looking at the present, kind of sliding back and forth when I do my work, and then providing them tools to implement change in their life. Hopefully providing a new way to see themselves as they implement the tools, because you have to be willing to do something different. I mean, if you're in therapy, I often make a joke that, wouldn't it be great if I had a magic wand under my chair? I could pull it out and wave it and all would be done. Kind of what I'm saying is, it's so much more than what happens in the office with me, or now on video a lot of the time. But people have to leave knowing that they need to try to do something different. It's not about the therapist. It's not the therapist's job to fix you, but to help guide you and provide you a pathway and maybe some aha moments for you to reflect upon and go, oh yeah, then be inspired to change, and then be inspired to do things differently. Because that can be hard and scary. Because sometimes when you show up in the world differently, the world reacts in a way that maybe is hard, or different than you expected. Or if you try to show up differently in a relationship, there's pushback. Or, I mean, it could be like someone who's learning to set boundaries for themselves because they're not particularly assertive in life. They go out and they start setting boundaries, and then the person or people that have been used to them having no boundaries, they're like, wait a minute, and maybe pushes back. But actually, it's totally within your right to be that way. But people, being people, adapt around those kind of behaviors and may be in some way benefit from those kind of behaviors. So, yeah, therapy is amazing. I mean, I love what I do, and I love helping people. And I know that I wish more people would really see that there's deep change that can really come. It's not a band-aid. I don't look at it as a band-aid, like slap it on and walk out. Like, there's deep change going on that can be life-changing for people, and it's extremely rewarding for me. So hopefully you have some ideas or maybe some food for thought around how therapy might be helpful for you, or even for someone you know. And there's a lot of ways to find a therapist. A good resources, the Psychology Today directory. If you're in the US, you can just actually type in I think Psychology Today therapist directory, and you'll find it. And you can put your zip code in, and then you can look at a whole bunch of therapists. And I'm in California. I can work with anyone in California, and specifically in Northern California, Marin County. But regardless, I think it's good to do that work if you feel like there might be something for you to do. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is a little bit of a change of how I do this podcast, and I am in contemplation of my next podcast. I don't know what topic I'm going to do yet, but I hope you enjoyed what you heard. And as usual, you're always a work in progress with Therapy 365. Take care, you guys.